Welcome back to Wogan Now and Then. Now, I first interviewed my next guest in 1991. Before then, he was best known as a popular BBC sports presenter. He was a good sportsman. But by the time he appeared on Wogan, his life had taken a dramatic change. It made for dramatic television, too. I'm delighted that he's agreed to come back. David Icke.
Thank you, no problem.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Now, again, when I see that, I'm slightly embarrassed by it because I thought it was a bit sharp with that comment. So, and at the time I said I didn't mean it to embarrass you. So, that interview at the time, it changed everything for you, didn't it?
Well, it changed everything in the sense of I couldn't walk down any street in Britain without being laughed at by most of the people. Going in a pub, there was uproar. A comedian only had to say my name to get a laugh. And what that does is it reveals to you the level of immaturity that passes for adulthood in this country, whereby clearly a guy was going through an incredible experience. And instead of being mature and saying, why is this guy gone from being this, what you would call straight, normal television presenter, to how he is now? This is interesting. What's happening here? Instead, and I heard the ripples of laughter 16 years on when my name was mentioned, people just laughed. But the other, which gave me a real insight, especially given what I'm doing now in my books, about how easy it is for the few to control the many. Because the many, we laugh at sheep because sheep just follow the one in front. Oh, stupid sheep. We humans have out-sheeped the sheep because at least the sheep need a sheepdog to keep them in line. Humans keep each other in line. And they do it by ridiculing or condemning anyone who commits the crime, because that's what it's become, of being different. And the other thing that experience gave me, and I look back on it, and people would think, oh, I bet you go, no. I look back on it almost with affection for this reason. The vast majority of people in the world live in a prison throughout their lives called fear of what other people think. They're not expressing their uniqueness. They're not living their lives as they'd really like to live them, lots and lots of people. Because if it's different to the norm, they fear the reaction of others. Therefore, they keep their head down and stay in the herd because it's easier that way. I had a choice, Terry, at that point. I could have ended up faced with that scale of ridicule and ended up shaking in the corner. Or I could have said, as I did, laugh, condemn, I don't give a damn. This is me. And if you don't like me, well, that's bad news because this is the only me there is. And I refuse to conform and be bowed by the ridicule. And what it does, Terry, when you step out of the little box of what will other people think, how do I put this in a way that people won't think I'm crazy, you then realize how small a box you've actually been living in. And you said, I think earlier in the show, that I had been taken apart by the tabloids. Now, on one level, that is true because they went absolutely crazy. But they didn't take me apart. I'm still here. I have my own publishing company that's turned out 16 books. They're in nearly 20 languages. I talked in Los Angeles the last time, 3,000 sellout. I'm talking in London at the Brixton Academy on May the 6th. A third of the tickets have gone 3 months in advance. And they only destroy you. They only take you apart if you allow it to happen. The only reason that the media can take you apart is if you care what the media say. That's the point where they can do it. When you say what you like, I couldn't care less, their power over you has gone.
But you do understand that, and I know you do, that you did make yourself a target because what you were saying was outlandish. It was by normal standards, outlandish and outrageous, very intense. Just have a look at this. You see, and I suppose if you look at the events of the past year in Pakistan, Southeast Asia, it doesn't seem so ludicrous. So you're obviously, you're still, in a sense, although you say that you've overcome this, you're still obviously bitter about people's rejection of your ideas.
No, absolutely not. What I am is frustrated at watching Orwell's 1984 unfold in front of our eyes by the day while people focus on who shot Phil Mitchell. That is frustrating, because my children and your children, thank you, are going to have to live, indeed, in the timescale, so are we, because we're living in it now, when the most basics of freedoms are being taken away. Yeah, and this is happening all over the world, and it's coordinated. But if I could just say this.
Coordinated?
Oh, coordinated, yeah, absolutely. I mean, do people think that the same legislation, the same changes, the same removal of basic freedoms is happening in every country by accident? I mean, you know, if a few wish to control the many, fundamental to that is centralizing decision-making, because the more points of decision-making you have, the more diversity, the closer to people decisions are made, the less over them, because there's so many points at which decisions are being made. What you want to do is centralize decision-making. And that's what's happening in every area of our lives at a fantastic rate. I mean, I've got a website, davidicke.com, which charts this by the day. And I can tell you, having done it for years, the speed at which freedoms are being taken away is absolutely staggering. Now, if people want to think that that's all happening by accident, please be my guest. I don't give a damn.
But
the evidence is that it's not. Eh?
If it's controlled, it's not happening by accident. Who is controlling people or trying to control them?
Well, if you go back, and by the way, thousands of researchers around the world are coming up with the same information that I am. And I've not sat in some darkened room coming to these conclusions. Over the last 15 years since we last spoke, I've been to more than 40 countries researching this. I've spoken to enormous numbers of people, some of them on the inside who know what's going on, are seriously against it but don't know how to get out. And there is a network of families that you can take back to the ancient world, to places like Babylon, Sumer, which is now Iraq. You can chart them through to Rome, where they were responsible for the Roman Empire and the creation of the Roman Church. God save us from religion, by the way. And then they came up into Europe to become the European aristocracy and royal families. Then through the great empires of Europe, especially the British Empire, but others too, these family bloodlines and the secret society network through which they manipulate themselves into power were exported all over the world. And then when the point came where the European colonial powers appeared to give independence to these countries, that was only on the surface. What actually happened was the family bloodlines and the secret society network through which they manipulate was left out in these former colonies, and they've gone on controlling them ever since, but with even greater power for this reason. There's two forms of dictatorship. One you can see, touch, and taste: fascism, communism. At least in that state, horrific as it is, you know you are being controlled, and you know who the people that are basically controlling you are. So you've got to start. The greatest form of control is hidden hand control, where on the surface it seems that you have freedom and democracy. Hey, put a cross here every 4 or 5 years, and then they do as they like till you get the chance to put a cross again. Great freedom! What a great system. So what you have is a hidden hand where events are manipulated, like 9/11. Which not just me, but endless other researchers now around the world have taken apart the official story. It insults the intelligence of a 10-year-old. And and you have a hidden hand manipulating events, and the whole goal of it is centralization of power to the point where humans are little more than controlled clones.
Who is the hidden hand? I mean, who are these hidden hands?
This network of families I'm talking about.
But who are they?
Well, they go under endless different names. I mean, if every president of the United States were called Rockefeller, people would say, what's going on? So they give themselves lots of different names. And anyway, when you do the research, you find that people that are in positions of apparent power, like prime ministers and presidents, are actually puppets of the real power, which doesn't put itself on public display. Why would it? I mean, does anyone really think that George W. Bush is running America? He probably couldn't tie his shoelaces, never mind run a country, you know.
But who is running him? Who's running him then?
Well, how does a president get into power? A president gets into power through vast amounts of money, which comes from those that have access to that kind of money, which is the rich families and the corporations which are controlled by the rich families. They choose who they're going to run with, and that's why George W. Bush, for goodness sake, hardly, you know, brain of America, never mind the world, was chosen to be president of the United States, and that's why he attracted record amounts of money. That's why the Florida count was fixed. That's why the Ohio count at the last election was fixed. You get your man in if you control these things. The reason that you get people like Tony Blair, who you couldn't get a cigarette paper between in terms of policy and approach with Bill Clinton, a Democrat, and then in comes a far-right Republican, and you can't get a cigarette paper between Blair and him, is because both are answering to the same master or group of masters. And that's why we have Bush and Blair on this program, this campaign of conquest.
This is really the conspiracy theory.
No. I mean,
but who are these people?
Hold a second.
You haven't named anybody yet.
Hold on a second. You talk about conspiracy theory. And we seem to have this genetic inherited problem where it's impossible to say the word conspiracy without saying theory after it. The last 6 books of mine total 2 million words with the sources at the end of each chapter, right? Far more sources than you're going to find on the 10 o'clock news or Newsnight. And a lot of this stuff is actually written down. You see, there are two worlds going side by side. There's the world as reported by the mainstream media, where 99% of people get their information from, and that world's about that big. And then there's another world which is vast, where there's enormous amounts of documented evidence about what's really going on, not theories, provable fact, which is not reported by the mainstream media.
But why has this not become, why is it left to you?
No, it's not left to me. No, it's not left to me, Terry. There are thousands of people.
But we haven't heard from them.
Well, why haven't we heard from them?
Because we've only heard from you so far.
Why? You know why?
Why?
Because I have some kind of notoriety, I actually get on here and there to say these things, whereas the vast majority of researchers who are coming up with the same stuff never see a television camera.
But you think people who know the truth are being kept away from the rest of us, and that you're the one who knows the truth?
What is the truth? All we can do is get closer and closer to it. Let me tell you this. Tell me about the project for the New American Century. Tell me about it.
I know nothing about it.
Exactly. Well, let me tell you then something that you should know about. And this is written down. In the 1990s, an organization was created in America called the Project for the New American Century. The people who created it were the people that have run the Bush administration from the moment it came to power. Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, Paul Wolfowitz, John Bolton, who's now the US ambassador to the United Nations, and you're going to see him giving it that big time in the next few weeks, trying to orchestrate a strike on Iran. In the year 2000, in September, the Project for the New American Century produced a report, a document, calling for a series of conquests of countries one of which was Iraq. He actually says in the document, words to the effect of, we must use the excuse of Saddam Hussein to go into Iraq.
But look, can I interrupt?
No, hold a second.
No, but honestly,
no.
Honestly, you see this?
See, but this is the thing, Terry, you see.
No, but honestly.
You say to me...
America is an open society, isn't it?
Oh, please.
It's not an open society.
I've got some seafront property in Birmingham, Terry, you might like to buy, mate. Honestly. Please.
David.
And they say I'm crazy and weird. America is an open society. My
Well,
God.
I thought in my innocence that most Americans would know what was going on in America.
God.
But it's all, you know it all, and...
see, you talked about cheap jibes. That's a cheap jibe.
No, it's
I'm not claiming I know it all. I'm saying that I've been to 40 countries. I've spent enormous amount of time in America talking to people who do know what's going on, victims of what's going on, and I'm passing this over to people.
But
now,
don't
sure.
You see how preposterous it is?
What, the fact that you think America's an open society?
No.
Absolutely ludicrous, Terry. I've never heard anything so stupid in your life.
Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. David Icke, thank you. Good luck with your mission.
Pleasure. Thank you.